We'll now overview the fundamentals of lean, including lean characteristics, the Japanese view of lean and waste, and comparisons to Six Sigma. We'll define lean simply as reducing waste. Reducing waste. And lean concepts were primarily developed at Toyota, yes, the car company, with notable people including Taiichi Ohno and Eiji Toyota. And the Japanese don't actually call it lean, though. To them, the lean philosophy is expressed as kaizen, which means continuous improvement. Lean is an Americanized term, originally coined in a Sloan Management Review article to contrast Japanese and Western, meaning US, approaches to production. And we can think of lean as a set of tools as well as a mindset to improve quality, timeliness, and flexibility. Ideally, every process step adds value with minimal, if any, waste. So think of it as a toolbox for process improvement. You can pull one or a few tools to reduce waste and improve value. The first key characteristic of lean is small, quick changes, which accumulate over time to offer big impacts. Allow me to digress on some shopping carts for a second. I want to tout the shopping cart system at Aldi for its simple but effective outcome. You need a quarter to get the cart, but you do get the quarter back after you return the cart to the rack. And if getting a quarter back is not worth it to you to return that cart, my kid will be more than glad to return your cart for that quarter. Think of what that simple cart mechanism does. Retailers don't need employees to collect carts in the parking lot, which is definitely not a fun job, and it's probably somewhat dangerous. Additionally, there are no stray shopping carts in the Aldi parking lot like we might see at Walmart or at Costco. I've actually encountered overflowing cart racks in the parking lot at Costco that were blocking the lanes. And I've also seen where no carts are available by the store because they were all stuck in the parking lot racks. Again, lean reflects small, quick changes that add up. This video offers a segment from a TED Talk that depicts an example of how this worked with tennis star Novak Djokovic, who's won more than 100 singles titles, including 24 Grand Slams, totaling almost $200 million in winnings.
You see, what stands between us and achieving even our most ambitious dreams has far less to do with possessing some magical skill or talent, and far more to do with how we approach problems and make decisions to solve them. And because of the continuous and compounding nature of all those millions of decisions that we face on a regular basis, even a marginal improvement in our process can have a huge impact on our end results. And I'll prove this to you by taking a look at the career of Novak Djokovic. Back in 2004, when he first became a professional tennis player, he was ranked 680th in the world. It wasn't until the end of his third year that he jumped up to be ranked third in the world. He went from making $250,000 a year to $5 million a year in prize money alone, and of course he did this by winning more matches. In 2011, he became the #1 ranked men's tennis player in the world, started earning an average of $14 million a year in prize money alone, and winning a dominating 90% of his matches. Now, here's what's really interesting about all of these very impressive statistics. Novak doesn't control any of them. What he does control are all the tiny little decisions that he needs to make correctly along the way in order to move the probability in favor of him achieving these types of results. And we can quantify and track his progress in this area by taking a look at the percentage of points that he wins. Because in tennis, the typical point involves 1 to maybe 3 decisions. I like to refer to this as his decision success rate. So back when he was winning about 49% of the matches he was playing, he was winning about 49% of the points he played. Then to jump up, become number 3 in the world, and actually earn $5 million a year for swinging a racket, he had to improve his decision success rate to just 52%. Then to become not just number 1, but maybe one of the greatest players to ever play the game, he had to improve his decision success rate to just 55%. And I keep using this word just. I don't want to imply this is easy to do. Clearly it's not. But the type of marginal improvements that I'm talking about are easily achievable by every single one of us in this room.
Again, small changes that add up to big transformations. The second key characteristic of lean is improving flow and reducing resources. Flow can reflect materials, products, employees, and even customers, and resources refer to inventory, space, cash, labor, and so forth. And the concept of the hidden factory provides more insight about flow. So we'll define the hidden factory as unseen or unmeasured activities that consume resources without adding value. These tend to be difficult to see and or difficult to measure. So it's unproductive work, which includes rework, scrap, and workarounds. In other words, hidden factory activities happen behind the scenes to overcome waste, including defects. For instance, personally, I struggle with the cumbersome hidden factory of D2L. It's not particularly easy or intuitive, so I feel like I waste little bits of time every day with scrap, rework, and workarounds. Let's depict a hypothetical hidden factory example, starting with step 1, which has deficient tools or systems. So employees have developed workarounds to make up for that. We all tend to have workarounds that consume extra effort and our time. And then step 2 occasionally creates a defect, but the employees don't realize it. So the defect moves through step 3, and then finally step 4 catches the defect, then either scraps it and waits for the next unit, or they send it back to step 2 to be fixed. The key point is that workarounds, scrap, and rework create waste and technically cost the organization money. However, this cost is almost impossible for leadership to see. That is, rework and scrap mean lower productivity, which isn't generally an actual cost, or at least one that's easily measured. For instance, my salary is the same whether I use D2L or a better learning management system. I just get more done with a better system. So this D2L hidden factory is largely invisible to Kennesaw State. The third characteristic of lean is creative problem solving from people. Now, process improvement and quality always involve people, but lean places an extremely heavy emphasis on total involvement. And we'll extend that idea with the importance of respect for people. On the surface, we probably already think that we understand the idea of respect, but for lean, respect actually means holding people accountable and challenging them to do better. That is, you respect the ability of others to do better than you could. Consider this comparison of a low respect employee environment to one of high respect. Starting with low respect, managers explain the problem to employees, set goals for them, and try to convince them of their way. And low respect managers expect little of employees and then easily accept their results. But in a high respect environment, managers let employees discover the problem on their own, as well as teach employees how to set their own goals and ask them to explain their way. High respect managers expect a lot of employees and let them struggle to get there, challenging them to do better. I love those ideas. Expect a lot of employees, let them struggle, and challenge them to do better. It's definitely a fine line that I personally experience as a professor. Specifically, if I hold you, the students, to an unreasonably high level and you struggle excessively, you'll likely get discouraged and probably learn less. However, a reasonable amount of struggling will better engage you, and then you'll probably learn more. We can relate the focus of respect for people in lean with the skill source of waste, the S in Tim Woods. That is, underutilizing people, skills, and experience is waste. The textbook extends this by describing discounted or unsought ideas as related sources of waste. That is, managers may discount employee thoughts or not even bother to ask in the first place. Then how do employees respond in such an environment? Well, at a minimum, they don't come forward with ideas. And in the worst case, the resentment just causes them to leave. So the text recommends brainstorming as a way to get employees to speak up and foster creativity. Even 100 plus years ago, Henry Ford was a proponent of respect for employees. He did want low priced cars, but he also wanted high wages for employees. And he found that executives tended to treat employee wages as merely numbers on a financial statement. But Ford pictured wages as houses, food, education, and above all, contentment. And as another benchmark, Bob Kierlin from Fastenal urged leaders to challenge rather than control. Challenge rather than control. And he had other recommendations for respect, such as treat everyone as your equal, listen rather than speak, and let people learn. Let's switch gears a bit to dig deeper into the Japanese view of lean and waste. And as advanced notice, this gets a bit spiritual. Akio Morita founded Sony, including one of its landmark products, the Walkman. Think of the Walkman as a precursor to the iPod, which was the precursor to the iPhone. Morita said that to the Japanese, everything around them has been gifted by the Creator, so you should be grateful for those gifts and respect everything around you. So never waste anything. In fact, waste is the opposite of resourcefulness. So certainly a lot of compelling ideas there. But continuing, waste is considered shameful and equivalent to a crime, a crime. And waste beyond conservation or frugality is a sin. And it's interesting, Morita eventually moved to the US to better understand America, which was Sony's largest market. And his perspective was that Americans thought, well, plenty more where that came from. In contrast, Japan has no such expression. Let's push this further with Yuri Ono, one of the most highly respected sushi chefs in the world. He started at age 7 and apprenticed for 15 years before opening up his first restaurant. And eating in his restaurant now costs $400 per plate, and he picks what you eat. And Ono highlights the Japanese idea of the shokunin, which is a craftsman or artisan. And characteristics include technical skill and deep commitment to one's craft, including Kaizen, commitment to continuous improvement, including relentless pursuit of perfection. Relentless pursuit of perfection. And then also lifelong dedication to mastering a specific skill, not just for personal gain, but also for the benefit of the community. You use your skills for the betterment of society. Then also, excellence is a habit. So you should practice every day. There are no shortcuts, and maintain intense focus on details. Ultimate simplicity leads to purity. And then finally, the craftsman has an obligation to pass along their skills to the next generation. And indeed, his son, who's older than I am, is one of his apprentices. In my opinion, this is an extremely different view from the US. We tend to overemphasize personal gain. In fact, we glorify business people who mostly follow the opposite of these ideas. Let's return to our lean fundamentals. The idea of quick changes, improving flow, and creative problem solving apply to any industry. Lean has certainly impacted product based manufacturers, but also healthcare, retail, and software development. So, despite its foundations in manufacturing, lean is applicable anywhere. So, let's close the section by comparing lean to Six Sigma. With lean, the focus is on reducing waste, and the approach is fast, small improvements that add up over time to big changes. And those changes, the ideas come primarily from people. Six Sigma is similar, yet somewhat different. The focus is on reducing variation, including defects, and the approach is slow, big improvements. And then ideas come primarily from the data. Generally, a Six Sigma project is long, maybe 6 to 24 months, looking to make large scale improvements. But the quick changes of lean can also add up to big improvements over time. So lean and Six Sigma are not mutually exclusive. They can be used together. In fact, your certifications will be Lean Six Sigma. And the textbook maintains that lean goes hand in hand with Six Sigma, as both focus on promoting continuous improvement and eliminating waste and adding value and building a culture of quality. The direct quote from the text maintains that most Six Sigma approaches incorporate lean.